Nuno and João are partners from the Walking Mentorship, and they bring the inside look in the life of the people they walk with. The podcast Keep Walking With Me searches for potential solutions towards the best version of ourselves. Every month, we walk together with a guest. There is a disclaimer that needs to be shared. After listening to this program, you might feel the urge to step outside and go for a long walk. But don't worry, that is absolutely normal. Welcome to the podcast Keep Walking With Me. Today we have another very special guest walking and talking with us. So let's start and ask in a nutshell, who is Alberto Otero?
Well, I'm just a human being, I think. That's the most important. I'm originally from Spain, not that far from Portugal, actually, from Asturias. So, and my mother is from Galicia, so it's I'm half Galician as well. So, but I'm living for the last 15 years in the Netherlands, in The Hague. I'm married to a Dutch woman, and we have two kids, 12, almost 13 in June, and 9 years old. So and then that's more like my personal part of the personal part of myself. But then as a professional, I have my own business. It's called Just on Purpose, and I help organizations, leaders and teams uncover their purpose and do things in what I believe is a better way to achieve results.
Well, thank you, Alberto.
That purpose is always a good thing to work with. But Alberto, you have quite an extensive experience. I mean, from Spain, Asturias, and to the Netherlands, and also in many different organizations, actually. So, how do you think such a colorful journey helped you become who you are today?
Well, I think it helped. In many different ways. I work with, many different people internationally, globally, since I'm here in the Netherlands, since I moved. And before that, I also worked for a few years in Spain with only Spanish people. But everything, I think the more exposed you are to different people, cultures, backgrounds, the more enriching it is, because you can learn a lot of different things. And I think that's part of who I am today, and in combination with doing different jobs at different companies, different industries as well, but mostly in the software industry for quite some years, like 11 years. Before starting my business. So everything you do adds a bit to who you are. And I think it's not maybe good to change all the time, but changing from time to time, helps you to learn even more.
Mm-hmm. Well, Alberto, we are definitely going to talk about your purpose, definitely. But first, maybe you want to tell us a little bit more about, the two most recent projects that you have in the last years, mainly Just on Purpose and Purpose Collective. There's a lot of purpose in here.
Yeah, it might be also a bit confusing. So, briefly, my company is called Just on Purpose, and that's basically just me, and that's on purpose as well. And then I also have a kind of like a separate company together with two people from the UK, Chris Blackwell and Sarah Rosenhuller. And together we are the Purpose Collective. Right? So that's maybe the confusing part. And we also do some things, and we run some events about purpose and leadership. But yeah, it's kind of a combination of things, and sometimes maybe it's a bit confusing. And I just forgot the question now.
We were just curious that you will explain a bit, what is this Just on Purpose?
Oh yeah, the last project. So yeah, I remember now. So Now, look, currently I'm working on a project with IKEA, and this happens to be in Spain. It's a leadership team from a kind of a big department of IKEA of 900 people, and I've been working with them. Well, we started at the end of November, beginning of December, and it's basically I'm helping them as a team to become a better team, a high performing team. And so I'm doing this. I kind of designed this program, and then every month I'm going there, and we go to a different place. We switch places, and I bring them outside into nature for walks and activities, and we work on them becoming a better team. So that's currently ongoing, and the last session is going to be the end of this month, in Asturias, where I'm from. So that's where we started and where we are finishing. And then, yeah,
Albert, I'm always very curious when we talk about purpose, in individual purpose and obviously company or team purpose, and always curious when either both purpose don't match or they match in very different ways. What do you think about that?
well, yeah, the most of the work I do is basically helping people at companies have more clarity about their personal purpose, and then aligning it with the company's purpose. And sometimes, obviously, there are some companies that they don't have purpose, or they don't have it clear or stated in a sentence. So I help them to articulate their purpose as well and make that alignment and connection. Sometimes, or most of the times, people can find some sort of link between the two of them. So that works most of the times. But there are sometimes that there is no link, and they realize that because of the work I do with them. So yeah, I had a couple of occasions where people left the team, the company after my work with them, but not too many. So only a few.
Well, to be honest, that has happened with us. Again, not many times, but it has happened, and I always believe this is the best thing that you can do to the team and the company, because being honest always helps you. I mean, no matter what. But let's get a little bit more inspiration here. So, do you want to share with us your first music? What it is,
sure.
and why?
Yeah, so my first, or the first one that I chose is from a very well-known film, La vita è bella, in Italian, the life is beautiful, and I chose this one because this is one of my favorite films ever, and it is because I think it's a masterpiece, of kind of a film representing one of the worst moments of humanity, but from a different perspective, from an optimistic perspective, and that's why I love it so much. And the music, I think is very well suited to the film, and accompanies, and it sticks in your mind as well. So that's why I chose it, because it has a beautiful story behind.
It is an amazing story, absolutely beautiful, and the music is beautiful also. So let's listen to the theme, La vita è bella. so much for that, Alberto. It is really always inspiring to remember this movie, and really it brings us to definitely a very better perspective on humanity. Well, but let me change here the topic into a little bit different direction. So I guess some time ago you used to play football, and eventually you started coaching kids, I guess, in football. So my question here is, what kind of connection, if any, do you see between sports, and in this case football, and the fulfilling life? So what kind of lessons are waiting to be learned when you are on a soccer game, or just any sports?
Yeah. Well, I still play. I have to say now with the veterans, but I play in a nice competition here in the Netherlands, which is called the Classic Veterans, and yeah, we play against Ajax, and we need to play one more game, and if we win, we will win the championship this year. So for the first time, so that's
amazing.
yeah. So, but now I'm playing myself, and my two kids play in the same team and club. Well, club, not team, obviously. And I coach one of the kids. I used to coach the older one, and then I switched to the youngest one, so the 9 years old. And well, I think there's a lot of things you can learn from sports that will help you not only in life, but also at work. And especially if you do something with a team sport, you play team sport, because in the end is working in a team is the same whether you are in the office or you are in a soccer field, in a football field. And it adds to my purpose, what I wanted to be when I grew up. Looking back many years ago, when I was very young, I wanted to be a football player, a professional football player. I didn't go that way in the end, mostly because my parents didn't think that was the best idea. So they thought, yeah, you're good, but you need to focus on the studies. And then I was a bit too responsible, I would say. I still regret not trying to a bit harder. So I kept on playing and reached a quite decent level, but yeah, that's the thing. And then now, like, my purpose, but going back to my purpose, is I can put my purpose into a few words, which is helping others, helping people. That's what I normally say, that's my core purpose. And then how I do it right now for work is helping organizations, leaders, and teams uncover their purpose. But I'm also delivering or executing on my purpose when I coach the kids, because I'm helping them to develop, to learn, to grow, it is, I can tell you, it's more tiring to train, a team of 7 or 8 years old kids than a management team at a company. Sometimes you need to do some, team building exercises as well, because it's tough. So I learn with them and from them, and I think I help them to learn a lot of stuff that they will use during their lives, not only playing football or sports, but they will use at work as well in the future.
Yeah, definitely. There are many learning opportunities there. But you touched your purpose, and you just said it's helping others, helping other people. Do you want to elaborate a little bit on that? Because, and specifically, how does your purpose serves you? So
yeah, normally I share these things, in my workshops and my personal story, but I'm probably one of the worst examples of someone following his purpose, because for many years I didn't, and I always did what I was supposed to do rather than what I really wanted to do. And I had a journey, like 20 years in sales and sales leadership roles, and a successful career, I would say. And I did well, but in the end, I wasn't fulfilled. And I had very good moments, and I appreciate a lot everything and every job that I had. But in the end, I think that if I had more clarity on my purpose when I was younger, sometimes I did, and I wasn't allowed to follow that path. And sometimes when I started working in sales, then I didn't have any clarity for many, many years. But if I had, and I had followed that path, I would have been, happier and more fulfilled with what I was doing. So I think that's what's purpose. What purpose brings to me is using your talent, skills, energy to do something you enjoy doing that gives you positive energy in general, and where you feel that you are, making a positive impact on something that is important to you, and you believe should be important to others as well.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you, Alberto. Actually, you mentioned when you were younger, if you had the possibility to have a more clear purpose, which definitely brings me closer to education. So I would like to talk a little bit about education, because as far as I know, you are really a busy bee. So you are actually also a lecturer at the Ag University. So my question for you is, how do you see the current moment of education, specifically at universities, and the role of, let's say, teachers and students to shape maybe a better world? I mean, is it this possible?
Yeah, I think it is possible. I think I'm in education, or I'm teaching part-time the Hague University of Applied Sciences, and the reason why is because that's linked to my purpose. and the reason why is because I didn't know what to study, and I didn't what to do with my life, and I felt that also the study of the students' world was very disconnected from the professional world. So that's why I'm there, and I tell them every time I have a new class, I tell them, the reason why I'm there, and I ask them why they are there as well. And I tell them that is to help them to know more about what they really want to do and why, and to make better choices at their age. And I think what I see, it is possible. I think education is key for the world. I think most of the problems we have in the world today are coming because of lack of education or lack of educational values. Could be as well, right? It's a different kind of education. So if we improve the education everywhere, that would mean probably that we won't have wars anymore and terrible things that happen. And again, we cannot change this from one day to another. Change takes time, but I do see a change in the generations, and this young generation. Now I think about purpose, and I talk about purpose and work about this on this a lot. Before that, like a few years ago, this was kind of like a midlife crisis thing, right? When you reach the 40s, then everyone starts to think about purpose. But I now, sometimes I work and I do these kind of workshops as well about purpose at the university with 18 years old, 19 years old, and they also think about this stuff. When I was their age, I never thought about it, and they just don't want to work for the biggest company possible and get the highest salary possible, as I did when I was their age, but they want to work for a company that makes a positive impact on the world, and that's not for everyone, but there are many, many young people who thinks this way. And I think that changed because, the world is changing, but also partially because, education is putting more effort in sustainability as well, and mental health, and all these topics that are, right now on the table.
Then, Alberto, I cannot resist to ask you, are the companies, are the market ready to welcome these people that are definitely thinking differently? I cannot agree with you more. The word purpose, I mean, I've been in the law school many, many years ago. I don't remember to hear ever during those years the word purpose at all.
No, me neither. And I think many companies better be ready, because the problem is otherwise they're not going to find talent, and it is happening already. So there's this thing, companies saying, and HR directors talking at conferences about the war of talent, because it is very difficult to find good talent and all this. And I tell them this, right? Like, really purpose-driven companies with authentic purpose, not greenwashing stuff, but companies like Patagonia, for example, they don't have any issues with finding talent. They have enough people applying for the jobs because people really believe in what they are doing. They feel connected to that. They want to be part of that, and Patagonia can choose who to hire, right? And that's the thing. I think more and more companies luckily are working on this and trying to change and transition from more like profit-driven businesses to more purpose-driven businesses. Again, change takes time, and some people do it because they really believe in that. Some companies, and they really want to do it. Some companies are doing it because they kind of have to, and sometimes in that process they greenwash as well. But in the end, people trying to or joining those companies, if that's not true and authentic, they will end up leaving. So companies better change.
I don't think they have an option. It's happening whether you want it or not. So just need to move with what's happening. But let me take here a different direction. Well, as you mentioned, you are from Asturias in Spain, actually not far from Portugal, just our neighbor. And to be honest, I've always loved to visit Spain. It's a beautiful country, extremely diverse, but I don't know why Asturias. I've never been to Asturias, and so what would you tell me that will make me jump off my chair and go to visit Asturias? About the people, the culture, the landscape? What is it?
Well, the problem is, if many people hear this podcast, then everyone is going to jump and go there, and they will get like the Mediterranean. So don't tell many people, but
we'll keep the secret.
Now, obviously I'm from there, and I'm maybe a bit subjective, but Asturias, nature-wise, is probably the most beautiful place in Spain. And if you ask people from different parts of Spain about this, they most of them will probably agree to that. So the thing is, it is a quite small region compared to others in Spain, but it's at the sea, and so the coastline is beautiful with very nice beaches and cliffs and different kinds of beaches as well, because the landscape changes from west closer to Galicia to east, but also it is a region where you don't have almost any flat areas. So it's all mountains, hills, but also like kind of quite tall mountains. I think the highest peak is 2,600 something. The Picos de Europa are there, shared with other two regions, but quite well known. And in some parts you can be basically doing a hike in the mountains in the morning, and then in the afternoon you could go to the beach and go for a swim, and everything is very green and beautiful. A lot of forest, a lot of nature, as I mentioned, and but it's green for a reason. So it rains more than many other places in Spain, so that keeps that a bit more quiet from massive tourism, which is a good thing.
Yeah. that can be a plus, actually. Well, thank you. I will definitely need to visit Asturias.
Especially you know what you do, and obviously you go to Santiago quite often. I think you
Yeah.
are. I saw many posts, and it's beautiful, Galicia as well. But yeah, you need to go there at least once. There are many hikes, many beautiful, and the Camino Primitivo, which is the first actually Camino de Santiago. It starts in the city where I'm from, the capital of Asturias, which is Oviedo. So it starts there at the cathedral, and then from there you walk to Santiago. So maybe that's another route for future events.
A good plan. A good plan. Well, thank you so much. I'm definitely gonna take on that suggestion, and maybe I will call you for special spots.
Yeah.
But let me ask you for your second music, and why you would like to share it with us.
Well, it's very related to this because, well, I'm from Asturias. My father is from Oviedo, like just myself, and my mother is from Galicia. She's from a bit under Santiago de Compostela, Villa García da Rosa.
Beautiful place.
Yeah. So we go since I was born, every summer. That's our summer holidays place, because in the winter it rains like a lot as well, but in the summer the weather is better than in Asturias. So that's why we keep on going there. And you know, there is a common thing: Asturias, Galicia, also Basque Country, and having in Spain. And it's culture and background. And it's a Celt background. So, we have there some Celt roots from many, many years ago. That's probably why I'm a bit blonde. I was very blonde when I was a kid. And we have our music, and our folk music is basically Celt music with bagpipes and all that. So I chose for this a song from Luarna Lubre, or Sondoar, which is a Galician band, and it's a Celt one. So and it's a beautiful one that also I can hear anytime.
Definitely. And actually, as you know, Galician is very similar to Portuguese, actually, apparently ancient Portuguese. So this would be spelled very similarly in Portuguese. So let's listen to this beautiful inspiration from our ancestors.
transporting us to probably very ancient times that cannot be more suitable to our days, actually, to understand our roots and where we are today. We're going to take another little twist on our conversation, because we before you talk about sales, I mean, you had a lot of experience on sales, so this might be a bit of a provocation, because we often hear that sales is a bloody activity. And usually people say that trust can be the first victim of sales. Do you think it's possible to combine a clear and deep purpose with a sales activity, especially if the industry, let's say, that you are working on, maybe you are not really emotionally attached? I mean, you might not be, maybe because the product or the service that do not tick that emotional connection. How do you see this? I mean, is it a more of a mercenary work, or can it be different?
Well, it can be different. I think, I'm a kind of the proof of that, because, yeah, I always believed in the value I was providing to my customers, and otherwise I couldn't do my job. And that's part of my story and how I came to help companies uncover their purpose. Unconsciously I was doing that. I spent 20 years in sales, and I don't like sales. I always thought about, what else can I do, but I just started in sales because I wanted to work, and I did a bachelor degree because I had to study something. I have a master's. I did a master's because I had to do a master's, and then I just wanted to work. And my first job after my master's even was, the first thing I found, and it was selling encyclopedias door to door. And I did that for a year, and that, it was the worst professional experience of my life, but it's the one that I appreciate the most because it really helped me to do probably what I do today. But even selling encyclopedias door to door, yeah, people saw that, and most of the people think, they just try to lie to people and to sell this and make money. And what I did unconsciously, I only realized this a few years ago, that even with that first job, what I had to do to be able to do it was like, no, I'm not selling encyclopedias. What I'm doing is I'm bringing a safe platform to kids, to children, because we were targeting families with small children, to actually do the homework, to develop. There was no internet, right? And no Google. So actually I'm delivering a safe platform for them to grow and to develop and to learn. And that was what I was telling myself, to be able to knock on doors and ring bells on the street. And then in sales, you see everything. You see a lot of mercenaries, and you see a lot of people that are driven just by money, of course, and they push the customers to buy. And I think I never, pushing a bit. Sometimes I had to, but I always knew where was the limit, and I always knew that, if what I was doing was bringing any value to that customer. If it's not, I wouldn't bother, But yeah, in the industry it's a bit tough, because sales is one of the things that you can get a job in sales without studying anything, for example, right? There's no degree in sales. There is a degree in marketing, but it's not in sales. So you get a lot of many different people from different things and different values, and some people misbehave and some people don't. And in the end, but you can have very good people, which basically we all sell something. You sell your products. I sell my products still, but you can sell from the perspective of just making money, or you can sell from the perspective of bringing value to others, and that's the difference, I think.
And I have to tell you that I'm not sure. I think it was not you, but somebody sold the encyclopedia to my parents, and I think even my grandparents. And I have to tell you that my breakfast hobby for many years, probably after I was, I don't know, 5, 6, when I learned how to read, and pretty much until maybe my teenage years, I would say mid, I don't know, 13, 14, what I'd love to do at breakfast was just to read encyclopedia while having breakfast. And I have to say that indeed, your description absolutely suits into what I experienced, a safe platform that you can, if you want, you can learn a lot. It gives you a lot of extra, let's say, knowledge that actually still use it after so many years. So I don't know, what can I say? Thank you, Alberto.
It wasn't me. I never got so far to sell you something in Portugal, but only in Asturias. But yeah, I hope that you know, some people feel the same. You know, yeah.
Definitely. Well, let me take you here on a different direction, because we realize you, like us, you like hiking, you like going out for a walk. So do you have any favorite route for hiking? And if so, why?
Yeah, you know, I have several ones, and it's not that, you know, I'm into hiking from also a few years ago. I never liked to walk. I was more like, you know, I can play football for hours, but you know, walking, you know, yeah, why, you know? But then I kind of discovered hiking a few years ago, and it was in Asturias, and you know, living there for 30 years before I moved to the Netherlands. And there are always these hiking routes that are very well known, you know, that everyone knows about them, but I never done it because I wasn't interested. And then the first time when I started my business and I went there to think about, you know, these retreats that I'm doing, and then I wanted to do these routes myself. And you know, the first route I did was a Ruta a Bulnes, it's called, the route to Bulnes. Bulnes is a village in Asturias, in the Picos de Europa. And that's a village that you cannot access by road. So basically you need, well, you can do a hike of hour and a half, 2 hours max, uphill like this. It's a beautiful one, short one. And then you make it to the village, and then they have this you know, this train that goes in the mountain, and then you can also access with that one. But that was my first really real hiking route, I think, and I really like it. Still do it with teams and at companies, and I did it with my family, with my kids, and then there are also, yeah, many others, and I discovered another one very recently, also in Asturias, which is called Pico de los Resquilones. It's a bit difficult. Pico de los Resquilones is a very easy one. You can do with teams that are not very maybe super fit, but it brings you to a place very close to the coast on the east of the region, and then you reach a peak there. And from there you have a view, like, yeah, stunning view of the coastline and the mountains, which are in that specific area are quite close to the sea. So but yeah, that's an easy one. But Bulnes, or yeah,
Well,
I think
we have 2 good tips. So no, we really better visit the studios, because I guess it's growing here. But maybe we can even add one more, let's say, piece of resistance, let's say, to our story. And maybe you want to give us your third song. I mean, we are on a tour right now.
yeah, no, so you know, it was difficult to choose just 3. So and I don't know, you know, well, I know why I chose the last one, but it was yeah, okay. The last one is called Resistiré, and this is a new version of an old song, but this came during COVID. So you know, COVID hit obviously many countries, or every country pretty much. And Spain was pretty hard because everyone was, at home and they couldn't leave for like 3 months. Was very, the measures were very, very strict. And during that time where people were at home and not being able to leave, some artists, well-known artists, got together somehow online and they recorded on their own pieces of or this song, each of them different voices, different styles, and they somehow edited everything and put it together, and they launched this song during COVID, and the song is Resistiré, so it's to resist. So I will survive, I will resist, and I think it's a very positive one and gives me positive energy in those hard times.
All right.
Perfect.
So let's get a kick of energy here and listen to it.
Cuando pierda todas las partidas, cuando duerma con la soledad, cuando se me cierren las salidas y la noche no me deje en paz, cuando sienta miedo del silencio, cuando cueste mantenerme en pie, cuando se revelen los recuerdos y me pongan contra la pared, resistiré, erguida frente a todo, me volveré de hierro para endurecer la piel. Y aunque los vientos de la vida soplen fuerte, soy como el junco que se dobla, pero siempre sigue en pie. Resistiré para seguir viviendo, soportaré los golpes y jamás me rendiré. Y aunque los sueños se me rompan en pedazos, resistiré, resistiré. Cuando el mundo pierda toda magia, cuando mi enemigo sea yo, cuando me apuñale la nostalgia y no reconozca ni mi voz, cuando me amenace la locura, cuando en mi moneda salga cruz, cuando el diablo pase la factura, o si alguna vez me faltas tú, resistiré, erguido frente a todo, me volveré de hierro para endurecer la piel. Y aunque los vientos de la vida soplen fuerte, soy como el junco que se dobla, pero siempre sigue en pie. Resistiré para seguir viviendo, soportaré los golpes y jamás me rendiré. Y aunque los sueños se me rompan en pedazos, resistiré, resistiré. Cuando pierda toda la partida, cuando duerma con la soledad, cuando se me cierre la salida y la noche no me deja en paz, resistiré, erguido frente a todo, me volveré soplen fuerte. Soy como un junco que se dobla, pero siempre sigue en pie. Resistiré para seguir viviendo. Soportaré los golpes y jamás me rendiré. Y aunque los sueños se me rompan en pedazos, resistiré, resistiré.
Well, thank you, Alberto. I think we got re-energized, and we enter what we usually call our set of unfair questions, even knowing that maybe some of the previous ones were already unfair, but anyway, these ones are absolutely focused on that. So here goes the first one. I mean, if you could take off on adventure today, or one adventure today, so no restraints, no budget, no time restraints, nothing, what would be that adventure and why?
Yeah, so I'll probably go to South Asia, or Asia or Australia, but I think Asia with the kids and my wife, and explore their different countries and different cultures and see different places. This is one of these things that we want to go with them somewhere in Asia, but it's always tricky, time, budget as well, and all that. So I probably would do that.
All right.
Perfect. So a trickier question now. What are we missing as humans?
Empathy, or more empathy and kindness.
You make it sound easy, huh?
Yeah, I think we're probably missing many other things as well. But I think if we were more kind with each other and have more empathy, we would have a better world. Yeah.
But let's make it a little bit harder, Alberto. Give us a hint. Let's put it this way. How can a person that is absolutely aware, that is not very empathic, because I think after a certain age, people know themselves quite well. And some people really know, I'm not really empathic. What would be your advice for this person, since you said that that's what we are missing as humans?
Okay. No, that's a difficult one. So the thing is that there are some traits. I think you can always change, and I think everyone can change and can improve in different things and different personality traits as well. But there is something that is also natural, and empathy is I think one of these things. Some people have more and are more empathetic, and some people are less. And I don't know. I think to help people that are less empathetic to be more empathetic, it can be a hard thing to do. Maybe they can do something else that is easier for them, and then they can also bring more value to others of the world. But you can talk to them about the importance of being empathetic and put yourself in the shoes of other people. But I guess sometimes it's going to be, you cannot change everyone. Everyone needs to do whatever they feel, and you don't have to change everyone. And not everyone needs to be the same. But I think collectively, by being aware, bringing awareness of, the issues we have, or how can we take some actions to improve situations, usually helps. And people, if they are confronted with these things, some people are not empathetic because they weren't confronted with some situations, and then something happens suddenly to them, and that makes them change. But these usually are things that are tough challenges.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Actually, I'm thinking about that. One of the exercises that we do in one of our programs quite often invites the person to ask for feedback. And feedback usually about your strengths and weaknesses. And usually, if you're not very empathetic person, the weaknesses usually come out very consistent. So If you ask 10, 20 people, most likely you have between 10 and 20 answers telling you, well, you're a bit maybe distant, cold, I mean, this and that. And what we notice is that usually if a person has this situation, it kind of has an impact. And usually what we ask is 3 little questions that kind of might help to open a little bit the door, but I totally agree with you. And the first one is that if the feedback bothers you. So it's actually to ask if, receiving from others this feedback kind of, you're not very empathetic or empathic person, does it bother you? And then the person can always answer yes or no. I mean, if it doesn't bother you, end of story. We don't need to continue the talk. But if the person says it bothers me, usually we come up with the second question, which is, do you think it's possible to do something about it? And then it's more on the creative side, and the person can say, yes, I can definitely do something about it, or no, I cannot do anything about it. Well, if you cannot do anything about it, end of story, we don't continue the talk. But if the answer is yes, I can do something about it, then we come up with the last question, which is, are you willing to do something about it? And again, I mean, if you're not willing, end of story. But then look, if you are willing and you understand that it bothers you and you can do something about it, maybe food for thought, maybe you go, back home and think, scratching your head, maybe I can do something. I'm willing to do something. And as you said, it's a tough call, but when you are aware, exactly your words, maybe that's already the beginning of the changing process when you are aware.
Yeah, I believe so. And in some cases will be, in some cases, they could say whatever and they won't change anything. And that happened when you were talking, it happened to me with one team this year where, it was a problem with one person in the team and was, empathy was one of the things, but, other things as well. And I confronted him and the team and everything in a positive way, but we made it very clear. But it didn't work out, and in somewhere in February they had to fire him, and because it wouldn't, no matter. Also, I thought he might try, and he is willing to try, but whether he could or not, because it was so linked to his personality and who he is. Sometimes, okay, he's like that, and he cannot change it that easily, and that's so some people is that way as well. But confronting or telling people the truth in a good way, having these difficult conversations, usually helps a lot, at least to bring that awareness, take that first step.
Food for thought for the ones listening to us.
Yeah. Well, and I still wanted to ask you a question. Well, you obviously relate to human resources in your line of work, but do you believe that we should be looking for a different name for human resources? Because it sounds kind of, materialistic or impersonal. And if we need to find another name, what do we need to put behind that name to make it more meaningful for the people, actually?
Yeah, no, I one of my first posts on LinkedIn when I started my business was about this. So don't call it, human resources, because they are not resources; they are humans, right? And the thing is, there are quite some companies, especially in the tech industry, where they don't call this department HR anymore, but it's the people department. And you have chief people officers and instead of chief HRO, and so I think people could be a good name, and that's it, or humans department. I don't know, but people is, I think, is already there, and I've seen it in many companies. For example, IKEA, they call it as well people. They don't call it HR, and many others. So yeah, I would maybe go.
But when you change the name, do you change the attitude? Because you can just change the label but keep everything the same. So really, I believe maybe you're mentioning companies where actually there's a change in the whole perspective about it?
I think changing the name is just one thing, that may help. Then you still need to do maybe the harder part. And it's the same with, we're talking about purpose, and having a purpose statement doesn't make you a purpose-driven company. That's only the first step, and that's a good step to have clarity. Okay, this is why we are here as a company, or as a team, or as a leader. But now, okay, I need to deliver on that. I need to make this real. How I'm going to make it, and then these are all little actions that need to be taken to be able to go in that path. So yeah, just changing stuff, having names, and it's not. It doesn't make the change. The change, that helps, but the change is made by having a strategy, and with different steps to execute on that, and to deliver on that, and make it sustainable in the long term.
Well, Alberto, thank you. A lot of food for thought. Today we learned a lot. We learned that we need to visit the studios. That's for sure. And definitely seems that we need to put more and more purpose at the core of our process, starting with the early moments of life. Let's put it, education and school, most likely. And we also probably need to put in the agenda next time we are in Den Haag, in Netherlands. We need to visit Alberto and try to discover some new routes, or maybe go for a bicycle ride, because I see you a lot riding your bicycle, pretty much like everybody in the Netherlands. So we kind of get to a final question that it's one of our favorites, because I think that one day, Nuno, I think we should make a summary of all answers of this question of all our guests, because honestly, they are so beautiful that I think we could make a book just with this answer. So let's add one more piece of the puzzle. Alberto, if you had a time capsule, something that we're gonna shoot into the universe, into the space, and it doesn't matter if it's tomorrow or 1 million years from now, someone or something will open your time capsule. And our question for you is, what would you like to place inside? Maybe to share our humanity, maybe to share Alberto's vision. I don't know, can be anything.
So a message to someone that will open this somewhere in the future.
Sometime.
Okay. I could put be kind, just like that. And I think, yeah, that contains a lot of things, but be kind. Too simple?
No.
Okay.
No. I was just listening to you and thinking, is that a piece of paper or it's like something else? I mean, you made me curious.
No. If I imagine myself like kind of like a bottle, a message on a bottle and something, and then with a piece of paper and that message. Yeah.
Wow, that's
beautiful.
Beautiful. Sometimes the most powerful things of our life, actually, quite often they are very simple.
Quite simple. Yeah.
Maybe we really finish in an inspiring note. And from my side, Alberto, I want to thank you for your time, your generosity, sharing so many interesting and wisdom with us. So maybe our episode itself, it's kind of a time capsule. So that's kind of the way I see it at the moment.
Yeah, no, thank you for both of you for inviting me, and I hope this brings some value to someone out there listening.
Absolutely.
For sure. Thank you so much for your generosity and the wisdom you shared with us.
Keep Walking With Me, it is a podcast inspired by the walking mentorship experience. Step by step, we walk together towards the best version of ourselves. For more information about our mentoring programs, visit our website walkingmentorship.com.